is a spiritual deity. Freedom and liberty and justice shall fight for you. When you fight for freedom with all your soul, take it from me. This is Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB, the voice of the nation, the voice.
This is BCB, the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, bringing you the news summaries for the week. In the news this week, Peter Obi takes campaign to Imo, vows to end insecurity if elected. Attacks on INEC facilities in Southeast bids to whittle down Igbo votes. Ohaneze IPOB to Igbo rejects 5-day sit-at-home threat. Stay tuned for the details coming shortly. From Champion News, Peter Obi takes campaign to Imo, vows to end insecurity. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, has expressed optimism that his emergence in 2023 as the next president of Nigeria would end all forms of insecurity in the country. He gave the assurance while addressing Imo State's people during his campaign rally in Owerri Tuesday, accompanied by his wife, vice presidential candidate, top party members and supporters. To the rally, he assured that his administration would ensure that insecurity becomes a thing of the past. He assured with emphasis that Imo State and Nigeria in general would be secured, and the investors who had fled the country due to insecurity would return to the country with their investments. He urged the people of the state to continue to support and vote for the Labour Party during the elections. He vowed to change Nigeria to become a country where people will have jobs and where young people with energy will be part of the governance in the country. Also to be tackled vigorously and put to a stop by his administration is the issue of recurring strikes in the Nigerian education system. He said, "My government will sit down with lecturers and negotiate so that anything that has to do with strike is completely eradicated." Peter Obi noted that the quality of education and health are the only way to know a developed country and non-developed one, and assured that his administration will invest heavily in education. He reminded the supporters in the state that he has not come to the state for fake promises, while assuring that Imo State will surely export both palm oil and cassava by the time he becomes the president of the country. In his speech, the vice presidential candidate, Dr. Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed, said that this is the right time for Mr. Obi to be president of the country. He emphasized that Nigeria will move from consumption to production, adding that she must win the war by bringing power to where power is desired. He appealed to the people of the state to vote for Labour Party all the way to ensure total victory during the polls. He reminded them that there is no other name that rings bells in the air of Northerners than Obi, because of his capacity and competence. He said, Nigeria must be rescued, secured, and must progress under Obi. From the Vanguard, attacks on INEC facilities in the southeast bid to whittle down Igbo votes. The former national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Ekwesilieze Nwodo, a former civilian governor of Anambra State, Dr. Chukwuemeka Ezeife, and a former national chairman of All Progressive Grand Alliance ABGA, Senator Victor Ime, have lashed out at those responsible for the consistent attack on the facilities of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in the southeast, describing same as a dangerous phenomenon and attacks against the Igbo. From Enugu to Anambra, Ebonyi to Imo, many INEC offices have severally been attacked by unknown individuals and vital documents have been destroyed. The attacks have been described as strange and extremely unusual. The security agencies have attributed these attacks to members of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and the group has vehemently denied involvement. Many people have equally accused politicians who are afraid of losing the next election of being responsible so the electorate would be subjected to the usage of incidence forms. Others have blamed enemies of Ndibo to be responsible, which has put the zone in a disadvantaged position. Speaking against the trend, the paramount traditional leader of Abriba Ancient Kingdom, Eze Kalu Kalu, said that he had a strong feeling that those behind the senseless attacks on INEC facilities in the southeast are wicked politicians and enemies of Ndibo, desperate to whittle down the electoral fortunes of the zone in 2023. He said that contrary to allegations by security agencies, the indigenous people of Biafra might not be responsible for the attacks, as the group had severally denied responsibility. According to the monarch, some evil politicians who do not wish the Igbo well might be the masterminds in their desperation to reduce the number of votes that would be produced from the southeast during the forthcoming general election. He said that those who feel threatened by the rising political awareness in the zone and the impressive interest being shown by Igbo youths for 2023 poll might have resorted to frustrating the people by sponsoring the destruction of INEC facilities. He, however, urged Ndibo to be circumspect and resist any attempt to frustrate Igbo political interest in 2023. And our final news for the day, Ohanaeze IPOB to Igbo reject 5-day sit-at-home threats. Ohanaeze Ndibo Worldwide and the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, yesterday urged Southeast residents to reject the 5-day sit-at-home declared by a faction of IPOB. They vow to resist any attempts to subject the people to more hardship. President General of Ohanaeze, Professor George Obiozor, called on Ebonyi State Governor Dave Umahi, the senator representing Ebonyi North, Sam Ogu, and Ebonyi elders to rein in on the breakaway IPOB group who hail from the state. The organization asked that the breakaway group to stop threatening the people with reckless sit-at-home directives. He said, in preparation to stop the election from taking place in Biafra land, there should be a chain of sit-at-home on Friday, December 9th, Saturday, December 10th, Sunday, December 11th, Monday, December 12th, and Wednesday, December 14th. There are concerns in some quarters that the illegal directive could hurt sources of livelihood ahead of the festive season. In Ebonyi, parents asked schools to release their children for fear of unknown gunmen. Obiozo, in a statement by Ohanese's spokesman, also called on the traditional ruler of the community and a local government area of Ebonyi to remind the breakaway faction that they are hunting their own people in the name of fighting for freedom. Ohanese expressed worry that the latter-day Biafran agitators, in their delusion, constitute a monumental problem for Igbo people. And that brings an end to the news summaries for the week. This is BCB, the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, saying thank you for listening and goodbye, friends.
Hello, fellow Biafrans. This is Rose Ama, and this is BCB. We wish you good will this season. We hope that you'll remain vigilant and mindful of your movements at this critical period when many of our people are traveling and engaged in various activities, business and seasonal activities. Yes, we may be joyful, but our movements this season make us vulnerable also. As such, we hope that you will be very, very vigilant. Remember to protect yourselves and one another. Organize to secure your communities by being watchful, especially of strangers, those whom you've never seen in your communities before. We wish you well. This week, we also bring you a special program. As we have indicated in the past, BCB serves as a platform for the dissemination and discussion of topics, news, and cultural activities that affect our collective survival and the struggle to restore Biafra. As such, from time to time, we will broadcast programs sponsored by the Biafra Government in Exile, BGIE, and other liberation groups. This week, we share with you a piece from BGIE's recent conference in October. The conversation in this piece, as you will hear, focuses on hate as the speakers examine the relationship between Biafrans and the Nigerian government and its supporters as war at multiple levels in a continuum from 1966 to the present. The conversation tries to engage the topic or question, they want us to hate them? Does Nigeria and its supporters want Biafrans to hate them? What are the implications of such desire and possible accompanying response or responses for us Biafrans? So we encourage you to listen to this powerful program with open mind and open hearts. Please note that we are presenting the program as recorded with all the technical glitches, the conversations in between, and the exchanges. In other words, we want you to experience the program as if you were a participant also. We hope you find a place and value in the program. We also encourage you to join BGIE in their future monthly conferences. So join us and listen to this powerful presentation. The program begins shortly. It is The Other War. They want us to hate them. This is Rose Ama, and this is BCB, the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra.
And for usually our numbers are quite more humongous than what we see today, but we had a change in timing and possibly the reason for this. By the way, my name is Oluchi Ibe, your moderator. Today, we're supposed to continue with our discussion on the International Court of Justice and Criminal Court. Because we have been asking a question, any legal option to self-determination. We had a very rich, robust discussion on this last month, and we're supposed to have part 2 of it. We are still waiting for the speaker to join us, Barrister Chijioke Omali, who has worked with international organizations, has consulted for them, has handled cases there, and in the right position to talk to us. And from what we had last month from him, we are quite enriching, quite eye-popping, so we're supposed to continue the conversation today. And we also going to have, and I think that's the one we're going to take off with immediately, a conversation by 2 very prominent, eminent, Biafrans, Professor Mrs. Eke and Dr. Oguchi Nkwuocha. They're going to talk to us on a topic, the other war, they want us to hate them. And after that, we're also going to have our brother, Engineer Steve that will talk to us on the role of Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB, as voice of the Biafran struggle. Many of you may not know that we have, of course, the older generation of Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, which was the original broadcast network under Ojukwu, which we also revived, and has been playing a major role as a means of communicating our ideas to our people. So you are going to hear from one of the architects of that, talk to us more on it. So without wasting much of our time, we'll launch in and invite our dear brother and sister, Professor Eke and Dr. Oguchi Nkwuocha, to take usually our hot seats, to address us and expect questions from each and every one of us in day one.
Could you permit sharing, please, moderator, host?
Yeah, you can. You may need to hand back the hosting right to me after this, Robert.
Yeah. Are you able to see our screen?
Yes.
Okay. I'll hand over to Professor Eke.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I am Professor, in keeping with the Nigerian practice, what am I? Professor, Doctor, I need another title. Eke. Anyway, I am Professor Eke. I also work with BCB. Dr. Oguchi and I are going to work on this collaboratively. Today, we are looking at clips. We will be looking at various clips from the film Sarafina, which is about South Africa. And the reason why we're doing this is because there are parallels between our particular experience or unique experience in Nigeria and what was happening in South Africa under the system of apartheid. In many ways, we could actually talk about, our situation in Nigeria as a kind of apartheid, in this case, because the Nigerian government has chosen to segregate us, if not geographically, but in terms of its ideology. And the federal government has targeted us as, subjects of extermination or genocide. So there are parallels between what we're doing, what we're experiencing, and the South African experience. And we use this film as a paradigm, which is a model for looking at our experience in the sense of their struggle and their resistance to apartheid, their resistance to dehumanization and possible extermination. And of course, their exploration of the experience of hate, at least the attendant experience or feeling of hate, that condition created in them. We see parallels in our own situation where there are attendant feelings of hate amongst our people, anger towards the system, against the system, but also directed inwards against ourselves. And there are parallels with South Africa. So that said, we will begin with, we chose this as another war. It is another war that we are fighting. We're engaged in a war, obviously, with the, the federal government, with the system, but we are also engaged in a different kind of war. In this case, psychological war, emotional war, and spiritual war. So we go to our first slide. Dr. Oguchi.
I'm very proud to collaborate with Professor K, one of our own. And in the opening statement, the moderator talked about different aspects of this struggle. So Dr. K and I are going to explore another dimension of this struggle. And it's really very important that we do that. The struggle that we have is not just on one dimension, it's multi-dimensional, and we need to be able to touch the different dimensions. So that's why we picked up on this. The other war, they want us to hate them with emphasis on hate. This is the war that we feel that we know so far, what we call the known war. It's a war of vengeance by Nigeria against us. It's a war of envy against Biafrans, a war of jealousy. It's also a war of racism and ethnicism, anti-Biafran, anti-Igbo. We know this war. We feel like that's the war that we're fighting. It's a war of extreme violence, unthinkable violence, to the extent that it is genocide. The war that we know of right now is a war of oppression, a war of subjugation against us, a war of repression, a war of conquest where the Muslim North, the Northerners, want to displace us, and they've succeeded some. They want to dispossess us, and they've succeeded a lot. They want to dominate us. This they have done very well in Nigeria. And they want to Islamize us, and they're working on this. They have not strayed from the scripts of Sadolana of Sokoto, whose whole goal was to dip the Quran in the Atlantic Ocean. They're working on that. That's the war that we know. It is a war of dehumanization. They're trying to dehumanize us. They are denying our humanity. They are denying our human rights, where their cows are more important to them than our lives and our livelihood. It's a war of genocide. Okay. So far, what is our unknown response? The response that we've had to this war that we know about, that we are able to acknowledge and feel. Yes, we're responding with valor, great valor that's commendable, that has been recognized. We're responding with courage. In spite of everything that they throw at us, we're still here and we're saying, yes, we will get Biafra. We want Biafra. We don't want Nigeria. We respond with a lot of sacrifice that we've made in so many ways, so many uncountable ways. Even one of those ways is that some of us are where we are in different places in the world today, instead of right there in Biafra land and doing stuff for Biafra land as a huge sacrifice. We're responding with defiance. We are responding with determination. We have an indomitable will and the stamina and endurance that can be summed up with the Igbo saying, Osondo anaga aguike. Osondo aguike. That's the sort of endurance that we've responded with. We've responded with self-defense. We defended ourselves during the war, went to war, and we are angry as a response. We are violent as a response, because sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. So we ask you, regarding our response, is that all? So we're going to play a series of excerpts from the movie that Professor K has already introduced, to point out the other dimension of this, which is hate. They want us to hate them. Are we hating them? Let's look within ourselves. Why? Because hatred is a poison pill. It kills the hater before it even kills the hated. When you talk about anger, you can channel anger, and we've channeled it to get us to get up and do something that's constructive, that will help us move along. But hatred doesn't have any redeeming values. It eats you up. It tries to eat up the person that you've hated. So it's a form of corruption of the soul of the hater. Is that what they want us to do, to hate them? That's a new dimension of our struggle that we need to look into. So we have our known responses, the ones we're willing to admit, that we readily admit, that we naturally admit. But this part, hate, is something that we need to look at.
Mm-hmm. We want to highlight, in fact, as we think of hate, hate is traumatizing. It is trauma because it consumes you, because it affects your body. And if you think about hate as trauma, in other words, what this is causing us to do is to traumatize ourselves. And in hating them, they're asking us to go ahead and traumatize ourselves and kill ourselves. People who do trauma studies, people like Kathy Caruth and Dory Lube, and a number of people who talk about trauma, especially Kathy Caruth, talks about trauma as an experience that makes you feel as if you've been thrown out of your body. And it is repeated wounding. You experience it again and again and again, certain things, certain moments. You go through that. It's persistent. It doesn't seem to go away, even when it goes away, but it's always there. So the video clips that you're going to see, through them, hopefully, we're hoping that you will see what we're talking about through the experiences of the South African students in these video clips. We're setting up the video clip. It is about Soweto, 1976. Can you hear?
Do you hear it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I hope you can see the screen.
Mm-hmm. You can enlarge the screen.
No, yes, it's okay. We can see it. Yes, it's okay.
We may have lost sound.
Do you not have audio?
Yeah, no, we don't have audio.
And let's see if I can fix it.
Okay, Doc, while you're fixing it, we'll just provide a short background. June 16th, 1976, the students in Soweto, and Soweto is the acronym for a number of townships in South Africa. It's called at the outskirts of Johannesburg. Together, it's called, it is Southwest Townships, and it would include various, townships in that area. Right now, Soweto sprawls close to
water before bed. Fix this.
In some of you know that on June 16th, 1976, the students in Soweto rebelled, protesting against the South African government because they did not want to study Afrikaans. Under the Bantu Education Act of 1954, one of the pillars of apartheid, the South African apartheid government created a particular educational system for Black South Africans. Its primary goal was to simply prepare Black South Africans for menial jobs like servants and gardeners, at the same time as their land was being handed over to white people. Here in this case, the students are rebelling because now they've been asked to study Afrikaans and they see no reason for it. And they see themselves as occupied people. So they are rebelling against the educational system. This is the early setup, the very first few frames of the film. Hopefully the audio will be back.
Do we have audio?
It's there, but it's not quite there.
Do you have it now?
No, don't.
I don't know what's going on. We are using YouTube. We couldn't play the full frame film, which we both have. So we had to go for clips on YouTube. And this is what we're experiencing. But maybe just watch the footages.
Okay. Are you getting any audio?
No. Hmm.
Okay. So we were in front of me.
Yeah, we can hear it now.
Yes, we can hear it now.
as you listen, these are historical things that happen, and don't just look at it in the abstract. Prof. AK is very modest. She's actually met some of the characters here. Hopefully she'll tell us a little bit about that.
How many times I tell you the same things? One of you keep the brief. But I mean, this children. What is it now, Uncle? Look at me, mind you, what you think of one of the job. Job is not for your beer. That job is for our body tea. So you listen. I don't drink tea. I drink beer. I'm a man. That's no way to talk to you. Oh, this is all full of shit. You should stop smiling. And you, Sarafina, you're too full of yourself. You're getting too big for your boots. Sarafina, bring us away to let them do the
I wish to sleep and never wake up. Now, Sarafina, I need a new exercise book. The teacher told me. Okay, tell him this week I go to see Mama. I bring back money to buy everything. Okay?
And don't forget my booze too.
That's all you can think about. Come on, Nelson. Why can't I be a star? What does a star do? Nothing. Look at the camera. Flash. Smile at the camera. Flash. Look at everybody. Big eyes. Say nothing. Stars don't do. Stars just be. Okay. So we showed that. You might be asking, why did we show that? Well, I wish the sound was better. But we showed that for a number of reasons to contextualize what we're trying to do. It is 1976. We're dealing with an area that has approximately maybe more than 30 townships, some big, some small. But we're also looking at the fact that, as individuals, these people had aspirations. What you don't see, what we see at the background.
For sponsoring today's video.
As a filmmaker, as a
in
storyteller,
July of 1994, scientists around the world.
Dr. Oguchi. Okay, so as a filmmaker, they all storyteller. Mbongeni Ngema, who is also South African, who is working here as a witness, an eyewitness to the events, is setting up the piece for us. You see the dreams of the young people. You know that they have some aspirations, but what you don't see is also the inside of their homes, the fact that they're displaced people in townships. But then right after, that movie star shot, you see the threat, which is the big vehicle that appears. And in South Africa, they refer to it as hippos. If you go to the Apartheid Museum in South Africa, it's there. Just personal note, Dr. Oguchi is right. I know I know quite a number of people who were part of the protest. One of the persons that I did my dissertation on is, had experienced the South African student protest and talks about, the trauma of that particular experience, witnessing students who were killed, who had died. So they still talk about that. But they also talked about the fact that the situation made them hate. And this whole sense of hate and how visceral it is becomes really, really a thread that runs through all their narratives. And in many cases, it is also a thread that is running through our own narratives as Biafrans. Do we hate these people? Do they, and if they... Somebody's mic is open.
Black Spirit, please. Thank you.
Do we hate these people? Or, what is it that they're doing and how are they doing whatever it is that they're doing that is causing us to hate them? In many ways, we are arguing that they want us, possibly they do want us to hate them. You would hear over and over, if you were to watch the full length, and we recommend that you should go watch the full length of the film to get the impact of what we're trying to do here or what we're trying to say here. Do they really want us to hate them? And if so, what does that mean for us? As Dr. Oguchi has said earlier, hate is a double-edged sword. It cuts both ways. You can't hate without, hating yourself. And the civil rights leaders that we all know, from Martin Luther King, going as far back as, in fact, Frederick Douglass, Olaudah Equiano, our own Olaudah Equiano, fighting against slavery, said he could not hate. As a Christian, he didn't want to hate. Frederick Douglass said he did not want to hate because slavery, as an act which encouraged hate, wounded both the person who was enslaved and also the person who was doing the enslaving, those people who hate us. So we can look at it, bringing it forward into the 20th and 21st century, the extent to which our own internal occupation is causing us to hate these people, want to hate them, and also simultaneously hating ourselves, sowing distrust amongst us, which generates hate and wounding us. How do we get out of this? So I go back to Dr. Nkwocha.
Yes, that first, thank you, Prophet K. So that first part was not wasted. It's just to put everything within context. We are also entitled to happiness. Our children are entitled to happiness, to dream of a good world and places to be, do the kinds of things little kids do. We as families go through our family struggles. We're entitled to that. But what is happening to us is really denying us of that opportunity, is trying to rob us of that opportunity. And question is, will it get to the point where we're driven to hate?
Why did the Russian campaign of 1812 fail? What defeated them? The people said. I said, what? Not who. The winter. Napoleon hadn't reckoned with the Russian winter. He thought his army was safe in Moscow, but the people in Moscow had burned down their city before he could get there.
No, it was the people.
Burning!
The people burned their own houses rather than let the army win. That's what you're teaching us.
I am teaching you authorized syllabus. The decision to burn Moscow. Burn, burn, burn!
Burn, burn, burn!
Burn, burn, burn! they shoot you children? How powerful you must be that they fear you so much. You are powerful because you are the generation that will be free. The violence, the beatings, the torture, the killings, all this is the back pain of our free nation. Please, God, may I live to see it. But if I don't, I see it now on your faces, like the light of the rising sun, and my heart leaps within me as if I too was young again. And I know, oh yes, I know, freedom is coming tomorrow. Amanda! Amanda! The Africa! We are children, rest in peace. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Freedom is coming tomorrow. Get ready, for your freedom. Freedom is coming tomorrow. Get ready, for your freedom. Freedom is coming tomorrow. Freedom is coming tomorrow.
So we weren't going to do this talk without getting you here. How can you see this and not hate? This is what they're doing to us. It's not just South Africa. This is what they're doing to us today. And can we get to that point of freedom and lose hatred? That is really where the battlefront is. We will get our freedom because we're determined. We're not going to compromise on that. There's no question about that. But what about the hate?
We're hoping that we will use this opportunity to engage you at least briefly on this. First of all, does anybody here remember the first student who was killed, the name of the first student who was killed during the Soweto student uprising? Anybody? Hector Peterson. I was fortunate to I have been taking, first of all, taking students to South Africa and study abroad. There is a museum right now in Soweto, close to the site where he was killed. We encountered his sister. My students encountered his sister. She usually would visit the museum once in a while, but some of my students encountered his sister and they didn't believe that this was a real person. When we got to the site, they almost broke down. I'm talking about American students who were breaking down. I've met her several times. And she says she'll never forget it, because if you look at that shot, that picture of the schoolboy who is being carried and the young woman behind, that's his sister. What we're trying to do with these clips is to connect them to our experiences. What do you see as parallels, similarities? Did you notice any parallels between, you know, what is happening to these students and to in our communities? This scene occurs shortly after they arrest the school teacher who's been teaching them about their history. I talked to a number of people at home who said to me, Biafra is not covered in the history books. And the school teacher's point in that particular exercise, where she begins to talk about the first person in South Africa, or the nature of God, and what is covered, who tells the story, and how that story is rendered, is the point that we are being written out of our own history, even as we watch it happen. Biafra is not part of the school curriculum. Not, the teacher says, authorized school curriculum, as was the situation in South Africa, where the authorized school curriculum did not include any conversation about Black people's experiences or knowledge or contributions to civilization, but it covered and emphasized white people's experiences. Jan van Riebeeck as the person who founded South Africa in 1652, as if nobody else was there. That's the point the teacher was making in an earlier clip. And then they arrest her, leading to the students what you see now in this particular clip that we played. How does this connect to what you know of our experience?
Yeah, please unmute yourselves and comment, because we really want people to feel this and show how they're feeling and get in touch with their feelings. And a little thing, this probably dates me, and earlier on we were talking about Ajasco and Kokoma. How many of you are students of history or in school, you saw the map, geographical map of the area, and you saw Bight of Biafra? Anybody remember that? Okay, go to any map now, you're not going to see Bight of Biafra, because the Nigerian government worked with the cartographers everywhere and had them even wipe that out. You can't see any mention of Biafra anywhere there. That's how bad it is for us. And so please go ahead. Any comments?
Reactions?
Yes, I really want to ask a question. Can we equate hate to revenge? Question.
You know, for me, it is really a tall order. You know, asking not to hate. And I don't know the spirit, you know, some of the people who have suffered so much in their lives and they refuse to hate. I don't know the kind of spirit, people like Ferry Douglass, Piano, even Martin Luther, that even at the point of being killed, he still refused to hate. I don't know how they were able to get to that point. or even Steve Biko, in South Africa, no matter how angry they were, they still really refuse to. But I don't know if I'll be able to do that, because also on the other side, you see people like Malcolm X, who refuse to love. Since this is the way you want it, let's go the way you want it. And somehow he gained a whole lot of respect, But then also, at the end of the day, the way the person who refused to hate Martin Luther ended up was the way the person who said, I will hate you back, even more. Malcolm X, they all ended the same way. So you begin to wonder, indeed, But also, I understand that when you hate, it eats you up, you internalize it, and it starts spreading even around your own self. And that's what we're seeing even in our struggle today. People now taking it out on each other, factions here and there, because they hate that even should be outside is now. Thank you.
Yeah. I was trying to say, I was trying to ask a question, trying to ask if it is possible to equate hate with revenge, because the definition of hate as I got this evening is really interesting. But don't you think that what you are contending pushes you to revenge? So I am beginning to think that probably we are not supposed to hate, because it's a double sword. There are two ways, this side. But what is the relation of this to revenge? Don't you think that revenge balances it?
It's your question. It's your question for yourself, for all of us. And
all of us.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong answer. Nobody's going to give you, at least I'm not going to give you any answer to, because I'm struggling with the same thing. The moderator said different aspects of the struggle. So this is that we are bringing up this different aspect of that struggle. And thank you for your question. Yeah, what is the answer?
I mean, it's a powerful question. And maybe that's what that is the conundrum, that how do you, and Oluchi's piece addresses that. Even Malcolm X, by the way, Oluchi, microphones are open, so we're getting echoes.
Hello.
Even Oluchi, even Malcolm X, once he goes to on the Hajj to Mecca and comes back, his tone changes. He basically says, I am not going to sit back and have them kill me, but I'm not going to go to war after them. And in other words, there's a retreat, a transformation in him. So what is it? Is it the recognition that if you hate somebody, you spend your time hating, you're going to hurt yourself? I mean, I think this is both a personal question and a collective question. There is a sense in which the collective goes through trauma and therefore responds collectively, collective guilt, collective hate. But there's also a sense in which the trauma is also personal, because we experience it at the same time and individually. And this is a decision that we all have to make for ourselves. And hopefully that would inform our collective action.
Dr. Levinas, Dimana, thank you. You're indicating to be recognized. Please unmute yourself then and say to us.
Okay. In my own case, thank you for giving me the opportunity to say something here. In our own case, I don't think we are hating. We are not hating the people who agree with us. What we are doing in our own situation is that we are trying to defend ourselves. We are trying to say, stop, stay there. I want to stay here, stay there. I don't think I hate you for saying that. In our own case, we are not hating them. We are trying to defend ourselves. We are trying to stop the enemy from hurting me. I don't see, I don't hate the enemy.
Thank you, Dr. Jemina.
May I suggest that if you're not speaking, just to mute, because that's why we're getting the echoes. Thank you.
I think there's a difference between hatred and reacting to somebody's action. And reacting to somebody's induced action sometimes might look like hate. Because if somebody comes to my house and trying to burn it down, and I'm reacting and trying to prevent that person from actually burning the house down, it's not actually hating the person, but actually doing things either to protect myself or just to let the person know, or to prevent that person from actually carrying out that action. So maybe there might be a demarcation between that and personal reaction due to personal action due to actions being imposed on them. So I think that is, in our own case, we are not. I don't think we hate Nigerians as such. We don't. We just want to be given a free hand to operate at our own level, but they are not allowing. They want to cage us and allow and then prevent us from actually developing at our own pace. They want us to move at their own level, which is inducing reaction.
Thank you for that comment. Yeah, so let's just answer that question, to ourselves and for everybody. Yeah, go ahead, PM, please.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm just thinking, is there a sense that we might be in denial? Because a greater number of us are aware of what happened in time, back in history. And I think the perpetrators of that consciously tried to wipe it off records. So if you think about in the 60s, if you think about, I've watched clips of the pogrom, especially the events that happened in Jos. I've seen stories about the opening up of our pregnant women and the fetus being taken out and used as football, and the killings on the train as people tried to run away from the north, and the things that happened even during the war, the bombing and strafing of marketplaces, churches, hospitals, and the killing of unarmed people. and all those atrocities, not to talk of the shooting in cold blood of all male above 10 years of age in Asaba, and many other massacres that were that happened. So many of them were not recorded, and the deliberate attempt not to teach history, to wipe the history, they wipe those events off records. And also the resilience of our people, consciously or unconsciously, and the spirit of trying to move on, has all those contributed to a sense of, on both sides, of denial of the atrocities that happened, or are we, psychologically, are we deep down in our bellies bottling up, that sense of, that feeling and of an emotion of hate or resentment towards what has happened to our forebears and some of us who experienced it? Is it there when we say, oh, we've moved on, we're trying to be free, we're not hating them? Are we in denial? Is there a sense that because we haven't been given the opportunity to properly process it, is that going to affect us going forward, even as we grapple with, strategies and ways we can actually, get, full grips of the struggle and move it, strategically to the right direction and achieve what we want to achieve? Do we need to really understand what has happened, processes better, for us to really move forward?
That's the reason for this talk today. Thank you. That's what we're asking ourselves. Yeah, it's easy to say we're not hating. Yeah, we've talked about unknown response, valor, courage, sacrifice, defiance, determination, self-defense, anger, violence. Yeah, we've done all these things. But we have to ask that question. Are they trying to, do they want us to hate them? Do we have hate? You can't, one of the reasons again why we showed this picture, we could have used our own pictures, but we wanted to remove it a little bit so we can get a little objectivity and look in the mirror. How can you watch what is going on, what you just watched, without coming out with hate? Like Routledge said, I'm afraid for myself. I don't know when I've crossed the boundary. And Dr. Mefula is asking us a rhetorical question, okay? Are we there? Have we crossed that boundary? Do we have it? These are things that we need to think about, because we've talked about the examples of people that got through it, and we can't forget Mandela. This was happening in his own country. He
spent 28 years in prison for it, and he still didn't hate them.
Yes, he found a way, and that's actually why South Africa survived like it did. Otherwise they would have all killed themselves. And the Reverend
Desmond
Tutu too, they found ways. So I think that the first thing that we need to do is to discover within ourselves, is that, are they trying to make us hate them? Do we have this hate? And then once you know that, yeah, it's there, then you can start looking for ways to get your freedom without getting hate along with it. And that was a poignant point about this movie. And Prof, I'll yield to you, Prof. Emma Nekuchi. Unmute yourself, Prof. Prof, unmute yourself. Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, my system is terrible this afternoon. I don't know if you can even hear me, but any moment you are no longer able to hear me, please let me know so I will start. This is really a very touchy subject. We can only approach it not from the point of view of definitions, but from the point of view of strategies and consequences. Yesterday I was talking about a situation where we watched at CNS videotape of soldiers picking up six-year-old kids and throwing them back into a burning building. 6-year-old. If that doesn't get your attention, I doubt if anything else will. But I always remember one thing. I don't agree with a whole lot of things that Richard Nixon did, but there was one thing he said that I always bear in mind. He said, some people will hate you. Those people who hate you don't win until you hate them back, and then you destroy yourself. This is the exact quote of Richard Nixon. Some people may hate you, but those people who hate you don't win until you hate them back, and then you destroy yourself. I believe that when he was saying until you hate them back, then you destroy yourself, what he was meaning is, what action did you take? It's not a question of how you feel. Yes, how you feel is important, but it's more, the emphasis is more on your action. When somebody is, manifestly treating you with hatred, what is your strategy?
I also note one statement by Nelson Mandela, where he said that, it is the activities of the oppressor that literally determines how you react to their action. So it's your responsibility to determine how you respond, looking at the action of the oppressor. Take one example from the African American Martin Luther King. During the time of Bull Connor in the 60s, they were killing people, destroying all kinds of things belonging to African American, burning things down. And what did they do? What did MLK, and the leadership of the African American community do? They said, we are going to show the world how horrible these people are. And what did they do? They looked around to see where they have the worst sheriffs in America. And that's how they went down to the area manned by Bull Connor and his associates. They said, if we go marching in the area where mild-mannered sheriffs will, catch our people and put them in prison and treat them well, the world will not see what we are going through. No, we have to go to the places where you have the worst sheriffs. And that was how, you see all of these images that you see, and that was what it revolted the mind of African Americans and white people at the same time. The question you would ask yourself is, I don't remember the exact year, but Obasanjo killed 2,000 people at Odi. What did the people do? What did their leaders do? In the early 2000s, over 1,000 Masop members were killed by Obasanjo in Onitsha alone. They were using helicopter gunships and shooting people, destroying homes. What did our leaders do? See, it goes back to action. It's not really only just what, your oppressor who is hating you. It's not just what they do. The question comes back to you. When this happens, what did you do? Did you rush into the street and carry your dang gun and say, okay, we're going to shoot you, and then they will massacre you even more? Or did you sit down and say, let us put our God-given brains to use and say, how are we going to approach this situation? Is there a way that we can almost immobilize Nigeria economically or in some other ways? So this is where you might, Admiral Oguchi was saying that this is a conundrum. But my perspective of it is, yeah, you might have somebody who will hate you and do all kinds of horrible things to you. The challenge that you have is, what is your strategy for responding to that? What strategy do you have that will enable you to survive? And when you look at other situations where success has been attributed to their struggle and the way they planned their own things, you will see that it is actually, we're talking about the Soweto massacre. What happened after that? Remember in South Africa, at this time we were talking about, there were Black South Africans who would go to the white apartheid government and tell them where they have arranged to have their meetings so that they can come and arrest their leaders. There were people like that. We have that in Igbo lands today. We have that in Joyfik, it will be everywhere. But it is the responsibility of the leaders to put their thinking caps on and say, we're just going to ignore those people. This is what we are going to do because this makes sense. And that's the challenge that we have at BGIE. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Enekwechi. Yeah, the mic is still open. The moderator, please help us out with time. Tell us when we're running out of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am also glad that Dr. Nekwechi has contributed to this. I think what everybody here has said is important. The issue is what you do, your responsibility to yourself, at the same time as your responsibility to the collective. In King's letter from Birmingham jail, where he's responding to these crazy 8 clergymen who attacked him while he was in jail, calling him a rabble-rouser, troublemaker, and all that. And they were saying to him, you're causing problems. Why are you here? And King simply said, you know what? I am not causing problems. I am here because injustice is here, and I can't sit still while injustice is happening. We haven't done anything. In order to do what we're doing, which takes me to what Dr. Nekwechi was saying, we had to think, to engage in a non-violent protest. These are the processes, these are the phases that we undertook to arrive at this point. We're not engaged in hate, but we have to defend ourselves. And that's important. So when do you arrive at your Rubicon and say, okay, here is a line that I will not cross. Gandhi did the same thing, which is where these people are modeling Gandhi. King and Mandela, their model is Gandhi. And by the way, yeah, Gandhi studied in South Africa, not with the Black Africans, but with Indians, actually. He went to defend them as a young attorney and got thrown out of the bus, out of the first-class train where he booked a ticket. And then they arrested him and put him in jail. He could have hated them. He comes out saying, I can't hate, because you hate, it justifies. One of the things it does, of course, is that, one, it damages you from inside, but it also gives the people who really want to destroy you, the point that Dr. Nekwechi is making, the justification or the weapon to go ahead and destroy you. And they say, yeah, you're causing all these problems. You're a troublemaker. You're burning down things. Look how savage you have become. Look, you are a monster. Therefore, we want to tame the monster. Over and over in this video, hopefully we'll play the next one where that appears. The students keep saying they want to contain us. There is one. The students say the Boers want everything quiet, right? Everything under control. Look, the Kafirs are quiet. A quiet Kafir is a happy Kafir man. A quiet Kafir is a happy Kafir man. But he says we aren't happy and we are not quiet. We are not under control. And then he says somebody better tell the Boers that we're not under control. What then do they do? So they engage in protest. So they want, another person says they want, I want to kill them. I want to kill them. The teacher says, I am tired of the killing. I am tired of the violence. Yes, I want to kill them, but I am tired of it because it's wounding me. It's hurting. It's exhausting. How do you save your humanity in the midst of something like this? I think maybe that's the question that we're asking. If they're pushing us to hate them, how do we save ourselves from hating them? Volume. In this scene, they have arrested Serafina and the man is attacked, interrogating her. And yeah, please listen. We don't have audio.
Burned him to death. Did you know that?
I heard.
So what do you think about it?
What happened?
Nothing.
Yeah, go on.
You think burning a man to death is nothing? Hey!
Okay, cool.
What's going on in the schools, huh?
It's much better now.
With trouble, aren't they?
All right, yes, I was saying that there's a,
The trouble.
You don't have to.
they don't,
What's that?
because everyone is they know
Okay. Trouble.
the whole family tree, how they're related to each other. So they can't
Okay, somebody has their
see like
audio
a
on.
nice guy or a nice girl and say, I
Yeah,
want to like
somebody's,
even do, I
somebody is
I
on.
want to even do anything with him.
Shima, can you
Because you
mute
could be
yourself,
doing
please?
something with
We're
your
getting more than
someone
one
that is your
feed here.
immediate cousin.
Chima, please.
Well, we call it incest now,
No.
but if you look at the human family when it initially started, that
Yeah, thank you. Can we start all over because this disrupted the whole thing?
I'm sorry, let me get back.
If you're not speaking, please mute yourself.
The students who attacked the soldiers are your friends. Students who murdered a constable last night, they're your friends. That how your friends behave? Like wild animals. Where were you last night?
At home.
You know how Constable Sabella was murdered. A mob of children burned him to death. Did you know that?
I heard.
So what do you think about it?
Nothing.
Nothing. You think burning a man to death is nothing. Hey! What's going on in the schools, huh? Somebody's looking for trouble, aren't they? Are you looking for trouble?
We don't have to look for trouble.
What's that?
We don't have to look for trouble.
Trouble finds you, huh?
Our life is trouble.
So whose fault is that? Who's making the trouble? We're not completely stupid, you know. School kids don't just come up with this stuff out of their own heads. We know you've been used. Do you know Mary Masambuka?
She's my teacher.
Was.
What do you mean?
She killed herself. Did you ever go to her house? Did you ever meet Joe Masambuka?
How did she die?
She jumped out the window. 10th floor.
You didn't have to kill her.
I told you she killed herself. She wanted to die.
No. I knew her. She wanted so much.
So you knew her pretty well, huh?
I loved her.
Yeah. So you can help me, can't you? Did you meet anyone else at her house? All right. Now you listen to me, girlie. And you listen hard. I don't give a shit how young you are. You throw a bomb at me, I'm gonna kill you. You try to burn down my house, I'm gonna kill you. You make war on my country, I'm gonna kill you. You think you call the Black Africa just waiting to roll on over, I say. You try it. Just try it. We're ready for you. So, let's just stop arsing around, hey?
Okay, another one. It's up to you now. What are you thinking? What did you notice?
Yes, also after this round of the discussions, we now, you summarize so we can move
Yes, we're done.
forward. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. We'll be done. So we hope that you'll contribute feedback. Who has power? Who doesn't have power? How? I mean, he says, if you do this to my country, isn't that what they're telling us? The nation of belonging, or even
Obasanjo said it was his country, Nigeria, not ours. Came to the lands, our lands took all the resources from under that and said it belongs to Nigeria. But it's not going to go to the north and take away their stuff. It just took it from us. It's Nigeria now. Yeah.
And the whole Land Act that now says you don't own your ancestral lands anymore. So, or the resources in the soil. And if you don't like it, you have to appeal to the so-called whatever national security, God knows what they're called. And if they don't like it, sorry, they can tell you to bugger off the land. Anyway, so your responses, please.
Well, let me say something general here, not specifically to the last clip. The idea of bringing something external to our own suffering, is a very powerful way of because sometimes we get too involved and too emotional. The reactions, become a little bit, untoward. But this brings a whole lot of new perspective, and the idea of hate, I've not really taken time to look at it from this perspective. And I think is one of the things affecting our struggle, our hate in parentheses for the enemy, because I think the bulk of us do hate them for the efforts they have been, acting out on us and still ready to do much more. And that is leading to not just self-hate, but the confusions and the distrust we are having even amongst ourselves in this entire struggle. This is a kind of topic I would even like see, for us to hold with as many of the leaders across board as possible, so that we get to understand the depthness of what we are involved in. Are people also manipulating us at a deeper philosophical, psychological level beyond the physical shooting of every day? And when you destroy one psychologically, there's no other hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oluchi. Okay, I think that the moderator is wanting us to summarize. Prophet Kate, do you want to go first?
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for participating. Our purpose was simply to, enter a conversation about a situation and a conversation within both a local context, but also a broader context of, the idea of hate and the enemy wanting you to hate them, maybe to justify their actions. Over and over in this film, a number of the young people say, they hate them, they want to kill them. And so hate begins to function as a trope throughout the narrative. Serafina says, I may have said this earlier to her mother in a big explosive quarrel with her mother. She says they pushed us too far. They've stopped treating us like humans. They want us to hate them. And so we ask again. She says she doesn't want to hate. At the end of the film, there's a transformation. She doesn't want to hate. But we ask you, do these people want us to hate them? And if so, what's the purpose? Why? And what is it that they're doing? How do we save ourselves from not hating, these people? Maybe it's the Christian approach. Maybe it's the indigenous approach. Maybe it's the Buddhist approach. Maybe you'll go look at Gandhi and Mandela and Martin Luther King. And by the way, yes, Malcolm X too. He decided he had had enough of their nonsense. All right. There are a lot of people who just simply say, okay, enough of the BS. All right. I cannot spend my time hating you, worrying about you, because it denies me of my sleep. It denies me of my inner peace. You have to save yourself. And how do we save ourselves? Which is the action that when Dr. Nikwechi was talking about your action, your personal responsibility, what is it? But that personal responsibility also has to be coupled with a responsibility to the nation, because, that's what we're fighting for. Thank you for, being with us today. And I thank Dr. Oguchi Nkwocha for being my accomplice. I hope we achieved our goal for today.
Yes, being your accomplice, I thank you. And let me just put a little summary there. So remember how we started this, the other war, they want us to hate them. He said that out of the mouth of babes, you can get some truth. When I watched Serafina the first time, I was just into the struggle, into their suffering and everything. I had to watch it a second time to hear it from the little girl Serafina that make that statement. They really want us to hate them. That's what I got out of that. They want us to hate them. And I have to ask myself, is the hate in there? And in conclusion, she said at the end, which we didn't get to because of time, I want to be free of the violence. I want to be free of the hate. Most of the illustrious leaders that we admire and we want to follow, they found a way to drop the hate and still accomplish what they want to accomplish. So I think that our task is to look within us and not be in denial and determine if we have that hate. We know it's coming from the other side, but if we don't engage them like our Prophet Nikwechi was saying, if we react differently, so it's our responsibility to react the way that we feel is necessary. But to react back with hate wouldn't be something that I'd like for us to do, or I'd like to push as a principle. Like Prof. Eke said, we thank you, and we appreciate the opportunity to present this in a different way. And it's all coming from what the moderator said, and I want to quote him again. We want to talk about different aspects of the struggle. Thank you.
This is the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB.
Freedom is a spiritual deity. Freedom will always fight for those individuals who fight for freedom and justice with all their souls. Freedom as a spiritual deity will activate justice to go to war on behalf of the innocent. Welcome to our great Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB. I welcome you to this segment of our security analysis. And today we shall be discussing concerning some certain very vital issues, picking up from where we left last time. We, the Biafrans, as Igbos, by nature by cosmological heritage. We are a people that loves liberty, that do not joke with freedom. Sentimentality is not part of our lifestyle. If you're looking for the surest, the most natural people on the surface of this earth who do not trade their liberty, the opportunity for them to express their God-given abilities, it is we, the Biafrans, we, the Igbos. That is why today, anyone out there who has been currently monitoring the events in our native land need not to be told that Agua Abalana Kreka, meaning the rattlesnakes, has entered into the raffia palm. We looked at the situations from the humiliation of our people to the killings arbitrarily of our people, to the decimations of our culture, to the splitting and sharing and pushing our territorial boundaries, merging with entirely different people who had no way had culture or relations with us, subjecting us to suffering, subjecting us to humiliation, subjecting us to so many evil upon the surface of the earth. Yet we endured it. When we ask ourselves, what is that one Nigerianness that will make us to continue to tolerate all this evil and rubbish? Some will say, remember, it is our founding fathers, men of integrity, men of affluence, such as Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, who helped to fight for freedom, Sir Louis Mbanefo Odumegwu Ojukwu, the late father of General Ojukwu, and many, many, many more elites that will be mentioned. I want us to understand that the reason why these our fathers fought to create an input of their influence in their face of the community or environment, then they found themselves thinking that it will favor us, was because anywhere we find ourselves, we the Igbos, we always want to create something meaningful for everyone to what? To benefit. I believe strongly that if these great ancestors were to be alive today, they will have said otherwise. And that is why, through this great medium, we are urging our people, the Biafrans, the Igbos, to get themselves ready. So many things have come up. Our intelligence department have been up and doing, gathering informations all over the territory. Listen and listen very carefully. Ndibo, vis-a-vis Biafrans. If you have a relative in Lagos State, tell them, in order to avoid what replicated, what happened before the Biafran war, tell them to find their way back home within this period of festivity, which is December. Those of them that can come home before the 20th should gladly do so, to avoid being cut off, because the plans of the Yorubas through Tinubu and his cohorts, Tinubu and his secret soldiers, Tinubu and his foot soldiers, the evil they plan to met upon our people, the Biafrans, the Igbos in Lagos, you cannot phantom it. And I know there are always skeptics out there who will hear this report and joke with it, especially those who have betrayed their integrity. If you're in Lagos or you have your relatives there, please, before the festivities, let them find their way home. There's been a secret plan. Tinubu will buy buses, different buses, and there's going to be, in connivance with some wicked people, some of these buses will be written names that bear popular transport companies. Yes, our intelligent gathering does not go in error. You might come to park or to some certain suburbs. It will be as new parks of peace mass have been created there, or new parks of Ekene Dirichukwu have been created there, new parks of the young shall grow, mostly our notable transports. People in that area will gladly begin to what? Enter such places. It is not the original transport companies. It is Tinubu's secret agenda with his foot soldiers. Of course, they will buy over some wicked betrayers within our dialect-speaking people, that when you come there, you will still hear them speaking Igbo. And I want you to understand that many Yorubas do speak Igbo today, just like our own people speak their languages. And they will make, the difference is they will tend to make the fare cheaper. They will verify from the main transport offices if they are taking 20,000 at that period. These people will slash it to 15 or 12,000 so that people will come. And once you are loaded and they take you out, it is bye-bye. It is bye-bye. It's one of the agendas to kill and destroy our people. Again, within that Ore axis, or a Benin axis, that is why we are urging our people to come home earlier before that time, because our secret intelligence report has it that so many evil are being planned against our people. And those of you who are actually coming from Europe, we urge you that if you're going to, your flight is going to land in Lagos, it will be better you will, from that Lagos, if you're coming to East, divert and enter local airline to your destination. If you're coming to the East, it is either you land in Port Harcourt, or you land in Enugu, or you land in Calabar. Owerri will not really be safe because of the proximity of the airport and the challenges of security within that vicinity. This report is coming to help save our people's life. And again, we are urging every community in our land, like we said before, to gather their youths together. There is nothing Ebu Bago, sponsored by the so-called governance of the same enemies against our people, will do for us. Rather, they join hands to kill us. Let every community leader raise their vigilante through their youth leaders and equip them with sophisticated weapons. The time has come, as we said it before, time has come now when there is no need to hide anything behind, because our enemies are not hiding their intentions against us. So there is no need of speaking in hush hush. They have made their intentions clear on how to disseminate us. There's going to be bloodshed. Some of you who will think that these reports are warmongering will be shocked when you find yourself a victim. Let these communities plan, set your vigilantes, and I'm urging the communities that are within the proximity of most of these attacks, like Enugu Ezeke, those coming from Abuja and all that. If those communities could come together with fellow communities and form a stronger tie of security network, whereby their prominent sons and daughters could sponsor them, that gates will be built within the crossroads of the express. Yes, because it is time we take back certain authority within the enclave of our communities. Like the community I'm coming from, there are things we have been discussing on the ground which we are not going to say here. And we have been disseminating information to our people on what to do, should in case they get to certain place along the axis of that area, what to do. We have been secretly sending some informations and numbers they will call, which I am not going to say anything here. It is time we prepare, because the issue of Nigeria and the liberty and freedom of our people has gotten to the point of survival of the strongest, not even the fittest. And that is why I want our people to brace up for this battle or war that may arise. I am General Jelskin Miracle, your security consultant, hoping that we will soon be together again. May God bless our struggle.
The more we fight together, the more we fight together, and stronger we shall be. The more we fight together, the more we fight together, and stronger we shall be.
Rising soul, hey, rising soul, yeah.
Biafra is the only hope of Africa. Biafra is the only hope of Africa. Believe it or leave it, Biafra is the only hope of Africa. We've been crying, the world claim not to hear. And we've been lamenting, the world claim not to hear. Our tears flow, the world claim not to see. And our blood flow, the world claim not to see. This is a crime, oh no, against humanity, oh no, yeah, this is a crime. Eritrea spoke up, they were given independence. South Sudan spoke, they were given independence. Namibia spoke up, they were given independence. Give me the reason my people got to be neglected. Give me the reason my people got to be rejected. Give me the reason our freedom got to be a crime. Give me the reason our own freedom got to be denied. Hey, Biafra is the only hope of Africa. I tell you what, Biafra is the only hope of Africa. Hey, Biafra is the only hope of Africa.
live it and live it. Oh no. Oh.
Thank you for listening to us today. Join us next time for news, cultural, and educational programs. This is the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB.
Hail to